Lesson 4 has layer basics. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to organize artwork, hide and select layers, rearrange them, use your blending modes, and a lot more. So let's take a look. This is a Hawaiian Island Paradise postcard that you're creating. We are going to open up our Lesson 4 file. So we're going to go to Open. We're going to click on 04start.psd, right? Oh, look, a pineapple. And then we are going to immediately save that as 04 working. So let's do save. Let's change that to working. Okay, save. Okay, so you want to make sure that you can see your layers panel. Okay, so here's our history, actions, comments. This is how I have mine set up right now, but my layers is down here. You can do a couple of different things. You can always grab and drag to make it where you can view it better. You can also click and bring it up here if you ever want to be able to switch between your history. You can also break it out. So all these items allow you to close it and rearrange your artboards and your workspace however you want. Now you can move it around, you can put it over here, whatever you want. I like to kind of make sure that my layers and my history is seen at the same time, so we can do that and then close this, and that condenses everything a little bit more so you have more room on your artboard. If it is not open, you'll go up to Window, Layers, see how if you do that, how it's closed, and you can make sure if it's not turned on, there you go. This will always have all of these are what you find over here, okay? So this is our background layer, right? You can see that there's background, white background. Then you've got your pineapple. This lock that's here, that makes sure it just doesn't change. You can't modify it. You can't, you know, do little things to it. So we are going to add a photo of the beach to this postcard. So we're going to open up that beach image. And here's our beach. We're going to double click it. Now we want to be able to add that one to the other file that we are working on. All right, so in the layer panel, we're going to go right here and we're going to call it beach, changing that layer name. Now we're going to go to Window and we are going to do an arrange and we're going to do a 2-up vertical. Our move tool, we are going to drag to here. So now that the beach layer is in our 04 working file, now that we have the beach scene in our 04 working file, we are going to move that layer between the background and the pineapple layers. So whenever you drag something or add something into Photoshop, if you have a certain layer selected, it will drag above that. So we're just going to bring it down here and you can see it behind that. And this beach file, we are going to close it. It'll ask us if we want to save. No, we're fine. We don't save. So now we've got this here. So now we have 6 layers, right? We have postage, Hawaii, flower, pineapple, beach, and our background. We are going to go over to our pineapple layer and we are going to hit this I button. That makes it where we can't see that layer, right? So now currently we only have beach and background showing. So we're going to put a white border around this. Let me move it over so you can see it better. We're going to put a white border, a stroke around this layer to make it look like an old picture, an old photograph. So we're going to make sure that that beach layer is selected, which it is. We'll do this so you can see it a little bit better. Now to be able to hide all layers, we're going to right click on this icon and it says show or hide all other layers. So see that? All of them are on. We're going to right click and now that has them all go away. So that's another trick you can do. So we're going to go to layer up here, layer style. We're going to go over to stroke. Okay, we're going to change that to 5. We're going to change it to a white stroke. So you can either drag it over to white or you can be fancy and go FFF, which is now we are going to change the stroke to 5 pixels. We're going to position it inside, so you can have the stroke outside of a line, inside, or center. We're going to go ahead and position it inside. The blend mode is normal. The opacity is 100%. Oop. And the color is white. We're going to click OK to apply those effects. And then we're going to rearrange some layers. We are going to rearrange some layers. So we're going to have postage, Hawaii, flower, pineapple, and background layers visible by clicking that show hide, right? So we're going to do this. Right click, show hide. So everybody's there. You can see that that beach is back there. So we are going to take the beach image that's blocked by everything else, and we are in the layers panel going to drag that up so it's between pineapple and flower. Okay, so we're going to grab beach and we're going to move it up above pineapple and below flower. So you're going to click and you see this blue line that kind of shows you where it's going to go. All right, so we're going to make it hit right there between flower and pineapple. And then we release. So now that it moved up in the stacking order, we are going to make sure that the, let's see, Hawaii is here. We've got our postage here. We have our flower on top. We have the pineapple behind and that image of Hawaii, which is great. The beach. So we're going to turn down the opacity. Okay, so we're going to take this postmark. It's way too dark. And we are going to take that and change that opacity and possibly a blending mode. So we're just going to change that opacity. We're going to click. So you can click on this layer. You can also click over here to select it. All right. So there is an opacity right here. We're going to drag that down to 25. You can also just click it in there if you want to do that faster. So there it is there. We're going to have it transparent just a bit. And then we're going to save. So, okay, so we're going to duplicate a layer. We're going to go down to pineapple. We're going to make the eye icons the eye next to Hawaii. It's right here. We're going to hide it. We're going to hide flower, and we're going to hide beach. We're going to right click or control click on the pineapple layer name, and we're going to duplicate. Okay, see that? Duplicate layer. And we're going to have our pineapple copy, and we're going to hit OK. There's our pineapple and our pineapple copy. We're going to change this one to overlay in our blending mode. Go up here. See how it changes. You've got your normal, dissolve. Now this is having an effect on the image that's already below it, which is the same image. You can see that it enhances shadows, highlights. Ooh, that does look nice. Look how much sharper that is. Look at that. See, it takes it from being a little bit dull to really giving it some high contrast. So we're going to go over to the postage layer. Okay, we're going to go to multiply. See how you can kind of see how it's changing. So see how if you go to color burn, how it takes out those whites, that space right there, how it disappears, and it's kind of, you can do so much with this whenever you start utilizing it. It's pretty great. It's one of my favorite features of Photoshop. Probably why I like to work in Photoshop the most, because I have the ability to really play with layers and blending modes and more in a lossy type of environment. Gives it a little grit. So we've changed the blending mode on postage layer to multiply. You can see it gives a little bit more. I wonder if I can zoom in so I can show you. Zoom back out so you can see it. With that one, we are going to save our work. Now we're going to resize and rotate. Okay, so we're going to go to the visibility right here, and we are going to click on beach. There it is. Go to edit, and we're going to go to free transform, and then you've got transform here. So we've got our bounding boxes that pop up, you know, now that we have free transform. So we are going to modify it to drag that lower right hand side, and we're going to decrease its size by 50%. Now you can see this changing up top. Do you see all those numbers that are moving? See that? So we're going to make sure the width and the height that are linked, they're locked together, are going to go down to 50%. Okay, so here we are. Let's see if we can get as close to 50 as we can. Oh. Now if you need to do that and you almost get close, oh, so close, you can always change it directly to 50. You can do that from the beginning too, but it'll change, see, the width and the height to 50. Now we're going to change the rotation of this image by 15%. We can do that here and change that to 15, or we can be bold and try to do it ourselves. But that Totally works. And then we're going to go ahead and commit to that. You can always hit enter, but you can also go up here, commit transform. Okay, so that is now changed. So we are going to make the flower layer visible, and then we're going to move it and drag that beach photo so it's kind of in the corner beneath the flower, which it kind of is right now. Let's see if we have to modify it. Okay, we're going to go right down here, make sure it overlaps just a little bit. Okay, right there. And we are going to commit to that. I'm going to hit enter, and we're going to save. Okay, they use the analogy that adding an empty layer is like adding blank sheets of clear film to a stack of images. Very, very true. So we're going to create a new layer, and we're not going to put any artwork on it yet. So in our layers panel, we're going to go over here. We're going to click on the background layer. And then right below this right here, we're going to go to create a new layer. Okay, you can go there. You can also go up to your layer up here and do new layer. But we'll just do this for now. New layer, it's called layer 1. We're going to call it clouds. C-L-O-U-D-S. In the tools panel, let's change the color swatches. So right now I've got this. You can always reset your color swatches by clicking up here. This is what allows you to kind of flip back and forth between your foreground and your background color. This also will come into play when you have shape colors and strokes and such. But so let's reset it to this, but let's go ahead and change. We are going to change the foreground color. You can double click it. Down here, they're having you change the RGB, remember your digital colors. So R is 48, so you can go right over here to R. You can type 48. Under G, you can type 138. See how it's all changing when it gets codes. And then B is 174. Right? And there's your cloud blue. And the background layer is going to be white. And we're going to hit OK. So there you can see here, your blue and your white. And we're going to go to filter. Then we're going to go down to render. And there's an option for clouds. Okay, we're going to click on that. There you go. Look at those beautiful clouds. And you're going to save. So we're going to add another flower to this. I don't have Bridge on my home computer, so I'm just going to open it with here. I'm going to go into lesson 4. I'm going to grab flower 2, and I'm going to drag that in like this. Okay, there it is. Now with Bridge, you can follow those instructions as well. At home, I just have to do it that way. We're going to bring this flower down into the corner. I'm going to bring this down here. And we are going to commit. You can also hit enter. So see how this came in? This is a smart object. You're going to learn a little bit more about these. So see how this is different from the rest of your layers? It has this little link here. This is because this object is a smart object. It was drug in directly from your Finder or Bridge. That means that you can make changes to it without fully editing the original image. This comes into play a lot whenever you're doing logo designs and maybe t-shirts and mock-ups and things like that. So you'll learn more about this later, but I just want to explain that's what that is. So we're going to put some text into this. We're going to use our horizontal type tool, all right, which will put text on its own layer, and then we are going to edit the text and apply a special effect, all right? So let's go over here, click, and we have our horizontal type tool. So let's go over to the Hawaii layer, which is right here, all right? I'm going to go to select, deselect layers. There are no layers currently selected. We're on Hawaii. So Hawaii is visible. We're going to put text below it. So let's make sure that no layers are selected by going to select, deselect layers to see how it takes away any selections in that layer panel. Okay, let's go over here. Let's change it to birch. We're going to click on here. All right, we've got our birch. We're going to change this to what, 36, I think. 36. Let me triple check. Yeah, 36. Keep it on regular. And then we are going to change the tracking. Tracking is the space that's between your characters. You're going to learn a lot about tracking, leading. So we're going to change this one to 250. That means that the space between each letters is going to be much larger than normal. We're going to go to the color swatch. Okay, and we are going to do a grassy green. Let's take a look. You can drag around too. That's a nice. And we can also do a faux bold, which is right here. That means that if you have a font, and there will be some that only are regular or it's italicized and you're not able to give it something else, you can do two things. You can do a faux bold. You can always put a stroke on something to give it more of an outline. Just beware that the way that you have it, if you choose inside stroke, outside, or center, that can create different variations, but this faux bold is an easy click to be able to do it. You'll learn more about other items like italicized and do in all caps. Don't forget your small caps, subscript, superscript, underline, strike through. So you got a lot of options in this. Okay, so we've got birch, 36, grassy green. We have our tracking set to 250, and we have our faux bold on, right? So we're going to get the all caps going. Boop. And we're going to do crisp from the anti-aliasing section. Send this down to crisp. Okay, now we are going to take our little type tool and down below, then we're going to go to the paragraph. We're going to click right here and we're going to make sure that it's left aligned. And then we're going to switch it to centered. Now below the W, let me go ahead and make it. I could make it, so I'll move it in a second. Below the W, we're going to click here. And we're going to say Island Paradise. Island Paradise. That's pretty good for me. I'm going to commit to that, but then I'm going to move around our layers, right? So I'm going to make sure that Hawaii is moved up. Burp. Delete my, see, this little guy pops up. See it right there? I had accidentally clicked. You can see lorem ipsum. We're going to delete that layer. Yes. Okay, then we're going to move our flower to... Now, even though we use the center text, I clicked at the W, we can always modify that to where it needs to be. So you can either do this where you move it manually by yourself. You can also, if you wanted to, click those two layers where they highlight. You can always align it. See that? So let's change our Hawaii to have its own gradient. I'm going to go to our Hawaii layer. All right, I'm going to right click, not the name, but the thumbnail. Okay, I'm going to do select pixels. So see how it did that? Okay, so see how that's selected. So we're going to go over to our tools panel, which is over here. Now I know you see gradient here. That's not the option, but we're going to go over here. We're going to click on this gradient tool. You'll see it change up here to be able to modify. So we are going to make sure that the option bar, we have linear. So right here is our linear. You've got radial, angle, reflected, diamond. Make sure this one's selected, which it is. We're going to change our foreground color, which you can do a bright shade of orange. We're going to click on this gradients panel. Okay, so there we see it. We're going to keep it with the orange and the white, not the orange and the transparent, which you can see there. Orange and the white. Okay, so it's right there. So we are going to drag from the bottom up to the top to be able to put this effect on it. So see how, there we go. So see how we're dragging. Now if you have to hold shift, that keeps it super straight and locked in at certain degrees. I think it's like 15 degrees, but you can freehand it too. So we're gonna do this to keep it straight. Drag it up here. Okay, I'm gonna go right there. I'm gonna let go, and that's applied that gradient. And you can see that over here in the layers panel. Let's close that. See how it's got a gradient fill? going to save our work. And now we are going to add a layer style. So let's go into our layers panel. We're going to select the Island Paradise. That's down here. If you hover over it, you can kind of see what's already applied. So you've got a blending mode that's normal. Your opacity is 100%. And you have 100% fill. Right? So we're going to go over to select the Island Paradise, and we're going to go to layer style. So okay, we're going to go to layer. We'll go to layer style, and we are going to change the drop shadow. Okay, right there. This will give you, you'll be able to preview it as it's being changed by making sure that you have this preview button on. If you don't, the changes will be made after you hit OK, but this way you can kind of see what you're doing. We're going to change it. It's got multiply, which is great. We're going to change the opacity to 75. Angle is going to be 78 degrees. Look at that. Distance is going to be 5. Spread is 30%. And our size is 10 pixels. Great. We are going to make sure that we select use global light. The global light changes so that the other settings that might have shadows match that, so that you don't have one shadow that's, you know, going eastward and the other one's going westward or something. So that makes sure that they all have the same angle setting. Okay, so we've got our preview. We're going to hit OK, and that creates that drop shadow there. You can see, just as we were looking before, now you've got your effects panel, and then you have the drop shadow underneath. Some of you wrote in saying that you were having issues, but the problem is that your effects was off. So you just have to make sure that that is on, and that makes both of them. You can see that if you turn that off, this grays out, but if you have this on, then your settings are there. So you did it right. It's just that the eye was hidden. It's on the Island Paradise layer, right? We're going to drag this down to Hawaii. So we're going to hover over this effects, right? I'm going to click option, and I'm going to drag down. Do you see how that FX effects is there? We're going to bring that down to Hawaii, and we're going to let go. And do you see how it automatically dropped that same effect onto the other layer? Yeah, that's what we wanted. We're going to go ahead and put a green stroke around that Hawaii. That way it kind of pairs up with the Island Paradise info that's below. So we're going to go over to the Hawaii layer. We're going to double click that effects layer. You can either get to it that way, right? Or let's cancel out. Or you go down to here and you click add an effect, and then you're going to go into the stroke. Pop-up comes up. That's going to add on an additional item. So there's 2 ways you can get to it. So we're going to update the stroke. We're going to change it to 4 pixels from 5 that I have there. We're going to position it outside. So see how it's already changing? So that's outside, that's inside, that's center. So it's little subtleties, but we're going to go with outside. Blending mode is normal. Opacity is 100%. And we're going to do a green. Now you can do this. You can either pick a new green, or you can just go down here. See, as you move outside the box, it becomes a sample. You click that, it immediately picks the same green that you had there. Cool. So your color is set. We're going to do OK. Now there's your stroke. And we're going to put a drop shadow and a satin sheen on the flower. So we're going to go to the flower layer, over at layer style, drop shadow. Layer style, drop shadow. You can also get to it by clicking. We're doing the bottom FX section. So we got this. We're going to change it to 60%. Okay. Notice how we still have the same global light. It's taking the same angle that the other ones have. Let's take a look. Our angle, okay, our distance is 13. Okay. We're probably going to change the spread and size. Let's see. Do the spread at 9. We have global light, and we're going to change it to multiply. Now, did they give size? Now, let's watch. We're going to change it to, let's see, multiply. We are not going to click OK. Now, that layer style, we're going to go over here to satin. Okay, we're going to click on that. Now, see how it changes automatically? But we're still on this drop shadow box. If you click on satin, now you're inside that little setting. Okay, so we're here, and we're going to change the color that is next to the blending mode. I'm going to do like they do a little bit darker. I kind of like it that way. I'll go with that. I'm going to change the opacity to 20%. Okay. Distance, 22. We're going to do okay. So now you can see those changes have been made. Then we're going to add an adjustment layer. Okay, so we're going to go up here to adjustments layer. Okay, and we're here in the single. We're going to go and click on hue saturation, which is right here. That will add that adjustment layer. We're going to change the hue to 43, saturation to 19, and we're going to keep the lightness at 0. All right, so that change, once I close it so you can see, is affecting the following layers: flower 2, which is here, pineapple copy, pineapple, clouds, and your background layer. All right, that's because they all fall below that. So we want to create a clipping mask so that it only affects flower 2 and not the rest of the ones that are below, right? So we are going to go over to right here with our flower. We're going to hover right between flower 2 and the hue saturation, okay? Okay, so this affects down here. Now we're going to change it so that it only affects flower 2. So we're going to go to the properties panel and we're going to click right here. This is our create clipping mask, okay? Now, do you see what that did? I'm going to go back over here and hide this so you can kind of see. I'm going to hit Command Z, undo. See how everything below the hue was changed? And now it's just this. So see how the arrow appeared? That means this is only affecting this one here. Pretty awesome. Okay, we're going to go to the Island Paradise layer, which is up here. Select the horizontal type tool, which is there. We're going to change the size just a little bit. Shrink that down kind of so that it fits right underneath there. We went down to 32. I'm going to save. You guys are almost done. We're going to go to the move tool and auto select is disabled, right? Turn that off. Check the postage layer, which is here. And we'll drag it to the middle right of the image. We're kind of move it down here. We're going to go to the Island Paradise layer. Okay. Create a new layer at the bottom. We're going to go to select all. So see how it's got the selection on, right? And we are going to select modify right here, border. Now we're going to change the pixels of that border to 10 and we're going to hit OK. You see how it's moved in 10 pixels? We're going to fill it. I'm going to go to edit, fill. It's going to ask for color. You can always change it to the foreground color, background, whatever you want. We're going to keep it white. Okay. Select, deselect, select, deselect. There we go. We're going to go over to layer 1 and the layer panel and we're going to call it border. Okay, B-O-R-D-E-R. Now, we've got all these layers, which if this is something that you're working on for somebody, make sure you save your PSD file and keep it like this. Whenever you are merging or flattening those layers, it cuts down your file size, which is incredibly helpful when you get bigger and bigger and bigger files. But don't flatten it until you're ready to go, and make sure you always save your PSD file. You can make this a copy, whatever you need to do to be able to make sure that you don't ever overwrite it. Because if you ever have to go back to make changes, the worst feeling is opening up a PSD file and seeing no layers. It has happened. It will happen. It is sad. So you just always want to make sure you save something with all the layers active. But let's talk about flattening. So down here, you can see that our file is 5 inches by 7.2 inches at 150 ppi. Our status bar, and look at document sizes. So see, here's our document size. This first number is what would happen if you flattened it. It would change to 2.29 megabytes. Currently, it's 39.9 megabytes. So as long as we're not in text editing, we're going to go like this. We're going to go to image. We're going to go to duplicate. Okay. We're going to duplicate this image as 04 flat.psd. Now, we've got this one, but we're going to go over here and we're going to close this. I already saved it. If it gives you a dialog box to save, save it. Save it. So now we've got this smaller file that we're going to create because we are going to flatten that image. We are going to go to layer. And we are going to go to flatten image. See what it did there? Everything has disappeared, all those layers, and they've merged into one. Now we will save it, and we are saving it because it is 04 flat PSD. See that? Okay, so you've got two versions now. You have your 04 working and you have your 04 flat. I'm going to want to see both when you load them up into our course. But yeah, that's it. If yours is a little different, if you've chosen to do different colors, it's okay. I really just want you to kind of have fun and learn. Eventually, you're going to be working a lot quicker with these layers and you're going to experiment and have fun. But yeah, there's your file.